It's time to fire this thing up.
Welcome aboard ShipShape TV Essentials. This is your port of call for the most impactful upgrades, expert advice, and hands-on solutions from seasons past. This episode is proudly brought to you by SureHold, because anything worth doing is worth doing bright. From cleaning to protecting and perfecting, SureHold has everything you need to keep your boat shining. Don't just go boating, go showboating. Now, let's hoist anchor and set a course for another exciting episode of ShipShape TV Essentials.
If boating's your game, then you'll agree. ShipShape is the way to be. Out on the lake or on the sea, ShipShape means trouble-free. ShipShape means being neater. ShipShape makes boat work easier. ShipShape is the way to go. The ShipShape Boat Care Show.
It's great to have you working around the boat with us again today on ShipShape TV. I'm John Greviskis. What I need to do here is change the oil out on this Volvo Penta 200 horsepower diesel engine. Nick and I are going to be installing an oil changing system on this boat, as well as getting into different grades of oil with a very special guest, Dan Arce from Pennzoil Marine. We're also going to check the oils and fluids on a cigarette Top Gun, so you high performance guys might want to stay around. Get ready for a couple more great ways to make your boat shipshape.
ShipShape, America's favorite boat improvement show, is being brought to you in part by
Great American Marine, celebrating 11 years as West Florida's most complete new and used boat sales, service, and brokerage facility. Mermaid Marine Air Conditioning. It's cool to sleep with a mermaid. And by Stainless Marine. Fly like an eagle with performance-proven products for every boat owner.
Now, Nick, you're telling me that we need to change the oil on this engine, but there's only 50 hours on this oil. It seems like that's a pretty relatively short amount of time in between oil changes. What's going on?
John, I don't have a choice. I mean, this is my father-in-law's boat. And when he says change your oil, you better change the oil. You know what I'm saying?
Seriously, why are we changing the oil here?
Okay, the reason here isn't necessarily the engine run hours, but the time. It's been almost a year or a little over a year since that oil had been changed. And this boat sits. It'll get run. It may sit for a couple of months and then get run a little bit and sit again. And what happens here is, as a diesel runs, by nature, the fuel that's going through the diesel engines, they carry some sulfur in the fuels. And that sulfur mixes in with the moisture, gets down into the oil, and it starts to break it down. Another thing is, what do you see when you get behind a big tractor or something at a stoplight?
Well, like those big clouds of black smoke.
That's exactly right. And the result of that is the other reason why you really got to stay on top of these diesels is, as you get that black smoke, you get some soot that bypasses the engine rings and gets down into the oil as well.
Well, we're going to showcase a product that claims to eliminate that black smoke. What's that all about?
We're going to try out something when we're done changing this oil and fire it up. We're going to try out something that's called biodiesel. And the biodiesel is a fuel additive that's supposed to eliminate some of that. And we'll check it out. We'll see what happens.
Well, knowing the way that you research things out, you've probably already gone ahead and selected an oil changing service. Which one are we going to go with?
Well, we wanted to put an oil changing system in this boat because, again, it's a diesel, and the fact that you're going to have to be changing that oil on a pretty regular basis. We wanted one that was going to be pretty user friendly, and we chose a Reverso. This is the Reverso pump, and it's manufactured down in Fort Lauderdale. This is one of the strongest little oil changing pumps I've ever seen, and I tried a bunch of them before I did this. This is a 15 amp pump. It'll pump this motor out in 2 to 3 minutes. It's unbelievable.
Give me the premise of the system.
What we've got here is basically a pump that's reversible. It'll pump oil out of the engine as well as back in. So if you have a boat where you want to pump oil back in instead of pouring the quarts, you can do that. We may even try that here. And what we need to do is basically 2 or 3 simple things. We need to mount the pump, and we can mount it any way we want, upside down, sideways, what have you. And then we're going to come off of this manifold system and hook into this pickup tube that goes right down into the bottom of the pan, and that's going to pull the oil out. Hook up 2 wires. I mean, real simple.
That's real simple. Give me a heads up on some of these engines. Sometimes it's kind of hard to change the oil, isn't it?
It is, depending on the engine manufacturer. Be it here, Volvo, they were thinking pretty good because they went ahead and put a tube right in for us. But some of these guys, you've got to sometimes slide a little plastic tube or something right down the dipstick and hope to get it sucked out. It's a nightmare.
Now, can you get all the oil out of an engine doing it that way?
When you're sucking out a dipstick tube, not usually. Depends on the engine manufacturer. MerCruiser, for example, they've got a pretty good system. It takes probably 95, 98% of it out. But that's a nature beast. It's a boat. We can't get down at the plug, and we can't drain it. Reverso, however, does have some fittings, depending on the engine you have, that'll go right in where that drain plug is on the bottom of the oil pan. Then you get everything out. That's ideally the best way to do it. If you can get at that plug, that's ideal.
Well, let's get into this installation.
Excellent.
We chose the starboard stringer as the place to mount our Reverso pump.
Then we cut down our oil removal tube to prevent any kinks or bends in the hose, mounted the hose from the tube to the pump, and wired it with some 12-2 wire from the pump to a 12-volt power source.
Well, right now we need to go to break, but stay tuned because when we come back, we're going to introduce you to Dan Arce from Pennzoil Marine. Nick,
Here's what's coming up next on ShipShape TV.
The ultimate 3-in-1 boat hook from Surehold. Engineered to serve multiple purposes, this versatile 3-in-1 tool can be used as a traditional boat hook for docking and securing your vessel, for carrying a dock line to a pillar or cleat, for safely pushing off a dock space, and more. Compatible with all Surehold handles using the SureLock system, the Surehold boat hook is an essential tool for any successful boating adventure. Surehold. Clean and simple.
We now return to ShipShape TV.
We have a very special guest with us today. His name is Dan Arce, and he's with Pennzoil Marine. And Dan, I've got a few questions that I'd like to ask you about oils. One in particular would be how do you determine these numbers and these weights and stuff that you guys come up with?
Okay, yeah, the viscosity grade of an oil, and viscosity is the resistance to flow or the thickness of the oil.
Okay.
When you're looking to select a viscosity grade, the numbers on it tell you how thick that oil is. The lower the number, the thinner the oil. The higher the number, the thicker the oil.
So, okay, these first two numbers here, this 15, this is the thickness of the oil at a certain temperature?
Right, this is the thickness of the oil at cold temperature. The W signifies winter, meaning it's a winter grade tested against low temperature performance criteria. The non-W grade, or the 40 on this side, signifies that the oil was tested against high temperature performance. So basically you get the low temperature flow of a 15W oil and the high temperature performance of a 40 grade oil. The manufacturers of the different engines recommend specific viscosity grades based on the ambient temperature that the engine is operating on. And they can vary from manufacturer to manufacturer. The engine that we're using over here, the Volvo, recommends 1540 for this ambient temperature.
And so that's what we're going to go with on the diesel.
Correct.
On the cigarette, the manufacturer, one of the recommendations that they have is a straight 40.
Correct. In the cigarette boat, one of the manufacturer's recommendations is a straight 40 weight for this ambient temperature.
W stands for winter. It was tested against winter conditions. Okay, and it lubes the engine quicker.
Correct.
Okay, straight weight was not tested in winter. That's tested against something else.
Tested against the high temperature end.
So like down here in South Florida or over in Texas or in the warmer climates, this is what we're looking at, right?
Correct. But again, you'll want to look at the manufacturer's recommendations to find out the specific viscosity grades that meet their warranty requirements.
You guys have been around for about 100 years doing oil. You sell a lot of oil. You're the most. You sell the most. You've gotten into the marine with your different oils here. You've been doing the 2 cycles for a while. Are these good oils for your engine?
Yeah, our 2-cycle oil is a TCW3R product. That's actually a new specification as of January of 1997 here. Our two-cycle oils meet the highest performance standard for the industry right now.
That's really hot. And speaking of hot things, I want you guys to check out this new boat that's out on the market. You're gonna flip over the, Dan, have a look. This week on What's Hot on the Water, we're going to take a look at a really neat high-performance boat. We're going to look at the 22ZX Donzi, and with us today is Randy Inch, the General Sales Manager out here at Great American Marine, to tell us a little bit about the boat.
Well, the Donzi 22ZX is 22 foot 3 inches overall length, 7 foot 9 inch beam, 22-degree dead rise on the transom, which is going to give you a real smooth ride. The boat behind us is packed with a 454 mag, which is 350 horsepower, which moves the boat around 70 miles an hour.
Now, you've got different power options available for the boat.
Correct.
How much power can you put in?
Well, you start off with the 350 mag MPI, which is the Corvette engine, 300 horse, and you can go all the way up to the 500 Chief engine, which is the engine that Donzi puts in their race boat. Not that you're needed, but you can run from the 454 mag to the 454 mag MPI to the 502 EFI and a little bit higher than that.
Well, when you hear the word Donzi, I mean, you put it with the ZX series. Now, there are quite a few models.
Correct. We build the 22 that you see behind us. Donzi builds a 25. They also build a 27. And then we get into more of their performance cruisers, which is a 33ZX and a 38ZX, which are obviously a little bit larger, more cabin headroom, and a heck of a lot more power.
Randy, in this particular boat, why would somebody consider getting this?
Well, the 22 is a good ski boat, a good all-around runabout boat, but what people like with the performance series boats in general is the big deep V, the ride that you get, and of course the horsepower that you have.
Now this is a 22-degree deep V boat. Now can you tell people why that's significant?
Well, we've all been on a flat bottom boat out in the water where it kind of beat us up a little bit. The deeper the V, the smoother the ride. You also got to consider the deeper the V, the more horsepower it takes to move the boat through the water. In the offshore series, regardless of what boat you're actually looking at, most of those guys will run from a 21 to a 24-degree V because it gives you the best ride for the size boat that you're in.
Well, you know, Randy, you guys really know the product. You really know Donzi, and I believe that that's what's attributed for you guys being the #1 Donzi dealer in the world again for the 3rd time.
Right.
Now you're working on it this year as well. You think you're going to go 4 years in a row. No other company has gone 3 years in a row being the #1 Donzi dealer in the world. What else do you attribute it to?
Well, a lot of what we have is not only the sale, but the service after the fact. We have an entire staff of people in this marina who are dedicated towards the experts that they're in. We have mechanics, we have riggers, we have people who haul boats, and that's all they do for us. On the large yacht side, we've got cabinet makers, we have carpenters, we have diesel mechanics. We spend an awful lot of money every year making sure that these people are factory trained for the products that they're going to work on.
You guys don't stop at the sale. I mean, a lot of companies do. They say, hey, you've hooked the boat up, you're taking it home, end of the deal. Right. That's where your relationship just starts with your customers.
A lot of problems with the dealerships out there is that's exactly it. You walk away from them and you've got your boat, they have your money, and they don't want to see you again.
Sure.
We want you to come back in. We've got a big full-service marina. We've got a lot of expert people, and we want them to come back in so we can service you down the road and hopefully upgrade you and keep you in the family.
Randy, give me a price on the 22.
This 22, the way she's rigged with the equipment list on board, is in the low 40 catalog price.
How do we get here to see it?
Here in St. Pete, we're located in the Pasadena area. We're 6810 Gulfport Boulevard. We also have a Sarasota Marina, which is on Tamiami Trail, about a mile south of the airport.
If you want to get a lot of looks, you might want to consider the Donzi 22ZX. Talk with Randy Inch. You'll be glad you did. You know, boating is a lot of fun, and that's what this show is all about. We're here to help you maintain and keep your boat looking and running like new. We needed to warm the oil up in our engine so that we could remove it. And you saw that black smoke that the diesel engine was creating. Well, NOPEC has come up with a product. It's a biodiesel fuel additive to help on that black smoke. Now, we haven't tried this product out before. We wanted to see if it was really going to work, and we wanted to see it on air. what they're claiming is that if you add 5 gallons of this stuff to every 20 gallons of diesel fuel, it's actually going to eliminate the black smoke and make the smell a little bit more boater friendly. Let's go ahead and add some in and see what happens.
I gotta tell you, this Reverso pump can really move some oil. You can pretty much empty this entire engine in less than 2-3 minutes. Cheesecake. I want to give you a couple tips here when you're changing your oil. And naturally, of course, we want to recycle. We want to get this oil and take it to a recycler. Now, if you don't know where your local recycler is, you can call the EPA hotline, and they'll let you know who the local recyclers are. Most of your major auto parts stores, etc., will take it as well. The other tip I wanted to give you was when you're changing your oil filter, always coat the O-ring with some fresh oil. Don't go ahead and use some of the dirty oil. That's not good. You want to coat it with some of the new oil that you're going to put in. And it also doesn't hurt to put a little bit of grease in on the threads. Since this is a marine environment, we want to keep these threads greased so they don't corrode into place. Now, the other feature of this pump that I really like is the fact once this oil is empty, and it's just about empty now, I'm simply going to take this hose from our waste oil bucket and put it into our new oil, switch our pump in the opposite direction. We can fill this engine right back up with the same pump we used to take the oil out.
It's starting to smell like popcorn back here, Nick. It's a lot better than that offensive diesel smell that you normally get.
Doesn't seem to be as black either, John.
I think once we're underway and we run the engine a little bit, it could work through it even more.
Yeah, it's supposed to lubricate the motor and clean the whole fuel system as well. So we'll see what happens. We'll give it a test.
This stuff's made out of some sort of vegetable oil or peanut oil or something like that?
Well, it's a vegetable oil. And speaking of peanut oil, the original diesels were designed to run on peanut oil.
Get out!
Yeah, but way back when the diesel was invented, Mr. Diesel himself invented that engine to run on peanut oil. And this is a vegetable oil, soybean oil mix.
I'm pretty impressed by this stuff.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Right now we need to go to break, but stay with us. When we come back, we're going to take a look at a high-performance boat.
Yeah.
Let's look at how the oil pressure's doing.
Here's what's coming up next on ShipShape TV. And now, back to the project.
Welcome back. We're going to
The SureHold One Bucket System is your storage and detailing solution, featuring an ergonomic corrosion-free rope handle, a bucket caddy to organize your supplies and lift them out with ease, a bucket grate to elevate your wash tools out of dirty water with integrated soap measuring cups, a bucket base that won't let your bucket scratch, tip, or slip, and a bucket lid that keeps tools secure and doubles as a comfortable seat. The SureHold One Bucket System, the world's best rope handle 5-gallon bucket. SureHold, clean and simple.
switch gears a little bit, and we're going to show you a pair of MerCruiser 502 motors. And Nick, I was hoping you could explain a little bit about these engines.
Sure, John. Now, 502 stands for 502 cubic inches, and these motors have pretty much revolutionized sport boating. What it is 415 horsepower out of a stock engine. Now, prior to this, the 454 was pretty much the mainstay in large cubic inch production motors, 300 to 330 horsepower. Well, these 502s, completely warrantyable, you can put in a larger, heavier boat like this, still go out and have fun, go fast, and be warrantyable.
Wow, 400 plus horsepower coming out of some stock motors. That's incredible.
It sure is.
How are we going to remove the existing oil from these engines?
We're going to use the Reverso portable oil change system. It's similar to the one we mounted in the diesel earlier, and I really like this thing because it's pretty much pick it up, carry it, and go. Throw it in the garage when you're not using it. You take the hose and screw it right on top of the dipstick tube, and then hook up two wires, positive and negative, to a battery or somewhere on the engine, turn the pump on and fire away.
Great. Well, we're going to be using a straight 40 weight oil. Now, Pennzoil makes a lot of grades for different engines. We were using the 15W40 for the diesel. We're going to use a straight 40, and it's one of the oils that MerCruiser recommends for their engines.
Now, one of the other things we want to do while this oil is being pumped out, take these extra few minutes and give your motors a complete visual inspection. First, check your belts. Look at the belts for being shiny or thin or too worn. Make sure they're tight. Next, you want to check all your hoses and give them a good squeeze and look for little stress cracks to see if they're dry rotted. Then sit back and give the motor a complete visual. Look at the engines and look for places where water's been running down or there might be some rust. Sometimes the temperature of gasket could be seeping or leaking and you might not catch it just sitting here at idle. If everything checks out, spray the motor down really good with a good corrosion protectant to keep everything shiny and from rusting.
Good stuff. Once Nick finishes the oil removal and replacement, we're going to take this boat, put it up on a travel lift, and show you how to check the lower unit.
We want to show you a couple of tips here on how to change your lower unit oil also. Now, lower unit oil is like your engine oil and it should be changed on a regular basis. Now, this is a large boat that's not kept on a trailer. It's kept on a lift, and the only way to do this is to pull the boat out like with the travel lift. Now, if you have a boat on a trailer, you can check it a little easier. This is the new Bravo drive, and it has the lower unit fill plug down in here. We want to unscrew that plug and take a good look at it. The first couple of drops of oil are going to tell you the most about your outdrive. What you want to look for is any water in the oil. A lot of times with the 90 weight oil that we have here, the water will mix in and it'll turn creamy. It'll also separate and you'll see it on the bottom. If you have water, you have a seal problem. The other thing is smell the oil. You want to smell and see if it's really burnt or black. If it's excessively burnt, you may have a gear problem in the unit and need to get it serviced. Here we're in good shape, it's nice and clean. Now I'm going to let this drain all the way out. I'm going to remove the upper vent plug as well to let it drain a little faster. Now once it drains all the way, we want to fill it from the bottom. Now I'm using a high viscosity lower unit oil here, and that's real good in an application like this where we have high engine RPMs and a lot of load. Some of your older units, say in the 70s and such, would use a Type C lower unit oil. This high viscosity works good on almost all the new stuff. I'm going to screw this into the bottom. Of course, I'm going to wait for it all to drain. Once it's screwed in, I'm going to pump it all the way up to the top, and I'm going to force all the air out as the oil goes in. Then we're going to see some oil come out of the top drain. Once I see that, I'm going to pump once or twice more to make sure there is no air. I'll put the top plug in and then the bottom plug, and we're all set. Right now we need to take a break, but stay around. When we get back, we're going to take this baby for a ride.
Here's what's coming up next on ShipShape TV. We now return to ShipShape TV.
Don't neglect your non-skid fiberglass because it's too hard to wax. Waxing and protecting molded-in non-skid has never been faster and easier thanks to Sure-Hol's soft dual-action polisher brush head and pro polish. This winning combination will quickly seal and protect your textured fiberglass. Now every square inch of your boat can be detailed like a pro. Whether you are waxing non-skid, cleaning carpets, or scrubbing teak, Sure-Hold has the perfect polisher brush head for every task. 3 brushes, 1 amazing polisher. Another answer from Sure-Hold Industries' clean and simple solutions for detailing all your toys.
After we completed the oil change, we took the Cigarette Top Gun out for a test ride, and I'm telling you, we had a blast. This boat flies on the water. What a rush. Nice ride. Let's go over and check the gauges now. Nick, our oil pressure's up, which is good.
Yes.
And the temperature is down. It's down about 20 degrees.
It sure is.
Holy cow.
Oil is the lifeblood of your engine, and you really need to keep it changed, stay on top of it. It's good service.
Absolutely. We've got a couple of people to thank here. We want to thank John from Reverso.
Yes, and Dan from Pennzoil. Good information. I'll tell you what, I even learned something today.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, that's about all the time we have for this week's show, guys. Until next week, keep your boat ship-shape. Let's hit it.
Are you ready to go?
This thing is a hoot.
Woo!
Let's go. Oh my.
If boating's your game, then you'll agree. Ship shape is the